Hi everyone, welcome to Dorms and Deans. Uh, uh, I'm your dungeon master as always, Simon and Brent. With me are my wonderful players. So last we left off, the previous session you had gotten written up for saving the class before you'd been given your proper instructions
From
on
the
how
ever wonderful Clara.
from the ever wonderful Carl. Uh, um, you started investigating things, looking around. On your way to the dining hall, you spotted a stone door that had an hourglass symbol on it that Libraza recognized. But doubling back on your after you realized you'd gotten lost, the door was no longer there. Um, uh, um, at the dining hall, you were confronted with Hoover, a a centaur who is the teacher of the artificers, who mocked publicly Xaris, calling him a second-hand artificer alchemist. Uh, um, and then you started working on different parts of your duties. Looking into the number of artifacts that you were supposed to protect, memorizing the list, looking at all of the rules and regulations that are supposed to be followed by staff, and investigating a large griffin in his nest, which did not go well, but you did emerge out of this alive, uh, um, and with a clue, a broom with the initials FP written on it. As on the next day, you were in the breakfast lounge with Marsha Nevins, the druid who is in charge of the cafeteria, and Mrs. Fritz, the ghost librarian that had been taking care of the library that was visited on the previous day by Xeris in an attempt to catalog and memorize all the magical items of the library. That the school keeps a repository of, and you have found a strange little book that was a record of known dragon hordes and the known magical artifacts that they contain, full of annotations in a language none of you had been able to identify. Uh, Rot had been taken aside by Carl to say that there was a reason that a student had to complain about your mask being in very poor taste and tied to the to a group of so-called bandits from your homeland, and but you had been able to avoid it by claiming religious exemption to be able to keep your mask on. And your breakfast was interrupted by the library catching fire, a fire that had already started when you got there. The only the only person present being a Alkin, what are they called? Arakokra. It's the name of the feathery humanoids that are able to fly around, and was stuck under a collapsed library, bookshelf. You saved her. You fought the Azer that appeared out of a burning conjuration book and tried to set more things on fire. With some quick thinking, alchemical ingredients, and martial prowess, you were able to stop the library from being completely destroyed by the fire. right on time, because the white dragon treasurer of this school, Indominus Crisp, was flying to save the expensive assets stored in the library from the fire by unleashing his cold breath upon it.
Luckily, we managed to defeat it in time.
Yeah, so you were right on time with this, and so there we had ended the previous game session. So right before we start this one, I'd like for everyone to choose a set of dice that best represents your characters or your tastes or
I'll let y'all choose first.
I really like red, so I'm gonna
Go for the red.
They're all super pretty. Oh my gosh, look, she
and little bags for all of you to store these dice in.
You are so kind, Simon. Thank you.
Is this
Sure.
good?
If you could bring the last two back to me. Okay. Oh, that's some of the ones that I would have chosen.
Did you choose one? I'm sorry. I didn't.
Damien's still being.
Here, Damon. I'm sorry. I didn't know you
That's
were
fine.
still
This one.
You- that one. Okay.
No, I thought you chose already.
No.
I was waiting for you to choose.
They're all so pretty.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Choosing from options is one of my least favorite things.
Me too. 'Cause especially, it's not like I like this one, I like this one.
Yes.
Decisions.
Decisiones.
Chico, can you open this one?
All right. So you are currently in the library. Only one other person present at the moment. It's the unnamed student whose feathers are a little bit singed, but alive and well protected. What would you like all your characters to do in this moment?
So I already told them about the griffin. Is it a griffin or a hippogriff?
Hippogriff.
Hippogriff. So I already told them about my interaction with the hippogriff, right? So I can't do that.
So the students there.
Yes.
I'm going to ask the student. Let's see, and we haven't talked to the student about this or anything yet, right?
Not yet. I believe she mentioned the necromancy teacher having been spotted in the library right before the fire, and you had noticed the necromancy teacher creeping around.
Mr. Hands.
Mr. Hands, yes, creeping around before the last time you were in the library.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the student what happened here.
I don't know. I was sort of minding my own business. I was doing research for some of the homework that Professor Prost gave us, and suddenly this I smell burning. I look around, but by the time that I'm able to react, it had already fallen upon on me. I was using an illusion spell to sort of dim my own senses because I don't like distractions. That might have been a mistake.
Probably.
So did you?
But hey, you got me out of the hot waters, as it were. And you see that she uses her wings to sort of make gun hands at you at her joke. That's what she looks like in the image. She's making she's crossing her arms and making gun hands with her wings. You see, she's this is the second time she's attempted to make a fire based upon apparently to deal with the stress of having almost nearly died.
So you said that your homework was from Professor Prost,
Yes.
and that's the conjuration professor.
Yes.
What was your homework assignment?
Listing all of the types of creatures from the different realms that can be summoned with conjuration spells, and making a short description of each of them and the spells that can summon them.
So you were writing spells.
I was researching spells and other things. I wasn't casting anything in the library. I remember.
Did any of your spells that you were, did any of your creatures that you were researching, were any of them an Azer?
Not specifically. I think that's an elemental. But it came out of the book that when the spell must have gotten triggered when the book was set on fire. Had nothing to do with me. You see that she points to like one of the singed book out of which the portal appeared.
All right. I am going to use identify on the book.
Okay.
So that would be a D20. There you are. And I failed because I only rolled a 5.
Do you need to roll to identify? I thought you just cast it.
Oh, true.
Yeah, you just expand the spell slots. And
Yes.
You cast it.
Yeah,
This is a pretty standard grimoire. It doesn't seem to have any protections on it left, but it used to belong to another, to a wizard before before it was given to the school's library. And when it belonged to a wizard, the wizard had placed sort of like protections on it against the book being damaged, and those protections were triggered when the book caught fire. So they're no longer active, but they used to be.
Wait. So does that mean the protections summoned the Azer?
Yes.
Oh.
It's like the Azer was summoned right in front of your eyes after the fire was started.
Yes.
And it just made the fire worse, but it was.
Yeah. That's. I mean, I figured that's what you were implying, but that's what I wanted to establish. That
Your identify spell confirms your fear.
Okay. Well, that's been expended now.
Am I allowed to go? I'd like to go to my room and sort of.
I just have one more question.
Yes.
So you didn't see at all how the fire got started. You didn't see at all anyone else in the library other than the necromancer teacher.
That's right. Geralt. Professor Geralt.
Okay. So we need to figure out how this fire started.
If you need to talk to me, I'm in the first year class, and my name is Zamachi.
Zamachi?
M-A-C-H.
Right. Well, let's see.
So how do we think that this fire got started? Do you think that we should go talk to the necromancy teacher and ask him if he saw anything?
Should we
or
ask the-
anyone?
You
The
hear
librarian?
coming from the library, from the exit of the library. Hello, can I come in? Is it safe? You're recognizing the voice of Hoover. The door opens a creak, and you see like the fully armored head peering inside, and then peering, like exiting out and saying, uh, um, "Can I talk to the two of you who aren't Xaris, please?" Like you see a armored hand beckoning the two of you towards the door.
Well, should we go?
Might as well.
I guess.
Find
We'll
out
let
what
you
he
know what
wants.
he says,
Mhm.
bro.
Okay. As you're like, you see that Hoover waits for you in the corridor outside. As you exit, you see that he's he's saying, "Listen, I don't want to be bothered. I'm usually before you got here, I was in charge of investigating any problem that happened. I came here as soon as I could. I have forensics skills that might be helpful to your investigation. I just don't want to. I don't want to do the whole thing with Zaris. Would it be possible to get him out of the room while I do my investigation?"
You know he's our teammate, right?
Yes.
Why do you want? Why would you decide to help us?
That
Yeah.
it's part of my job. I have the skills to help you clean up one of the worst incidents we've had in weeks.
We are having some issues. We can't figure out how a fire was started. Would your skills be able to help us determine how that fire was started?
Definitely, that's what I forensics.
How about you, Peraza? What do you think? I feel like we can't say yes unless we talk to Casares first.
You can ask him.
Yeah, we need to make sure he's okay with that.
Yes.
Ugh, fine.
Hey, Casares, your rival Hoover here says that he can help us out with some forensics, but he doesn't want you around while we do it.
It's up to you.
So how do you
Can
feel
you show
about that?
accept his help?
He says that he says that he'll be able to help us determine how the fire was started. And I feel like that's our biggest piece of mystery.
Mm-hmm. I think it's important we figure out how it started, but I find it all a little...
Suspicious.
Yeah. Yeah, especially since, like... I'm not... Like, it doesn't seem to match my memories. I don't know why he remembers being my rival, but I don't think my rival was a centaur. I could have sworn I would remember something like that.
So you think he's like impersonating, or that like
I don't know. Something is not right.
interesting. So that's another mystery you might need to solve. So how would you feel if just for now we let him come in and do his forensics, but La Raza and I will stay in the room?
In that case, I am going to take the time to go over the Dragon Lair tome.
Okay.
And see if anything interesting comes up from that.
Okay.
Sounds like a great plan.
You can roll for investigation.
And I got 9.
Okay. What languages do you speak?
I speak Common, Draconic, and Dwarvish.
There is a with a 9, you only find a single thing. Every now and then there are words in Draconic intermixed with the words in with the words in the language that you don't recognize in the margin notes. Usually something that is very like specific to Draconic that would lose some of its meaning in translation. Uh, um, Especially the names of dragons involved are written in Draconic in the notes. So whoever wrote those notes also speaks a little bit of Draconic and like is studious about writing notes that will be full uh, uh, full of details for later.
Okay. I'm also going through and looking through because the one item we know about that was from a dragon lair was from a nearby one, so I'm also going to be checking sort of where these dragon lairs are and are there any other nearby ones, or even are there some that are in fact closer than the one it was taken from.
With a 9, you're not able to like put together a map in this short amount of time, so you'll have to spend more time later to figure out all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So, you get Hoover in the library. Are you watching him or helping him? Because if you want, two of you can make a perception check for watching him, or one of you can make it with advantage. But if you help him, you can give him advantage on his investigation.
Can one of us help him and one of us watch
I'll
him?
probably watch him.
Okay.
You'll watch?
You're watching, so make a perception check.
Is it
And-
D20?
Yes, and you're helping.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm rolling with advantage.
It's a
Okay.
What is it?
14.
A 14?
Okay.
Sweet.
Hell yes. So 14. You see that like he's meticulous. He doesn't take off the helmet, but as he reaches into his pouch, he puts on like
Spectacles.
like spectacles that have like different layers of monocles to sort of like zoom in, some of which look colored and slightly magical.
That reminds me of something.
National treasure now.
Yeah.
He looks around and he's going to say, okay, multiple points of start for the fire. You see he grabs a little bit of soot, tastes it. Oil based. He takes a sample of the soot. Tiny footprints in the soot. This is a tiny creature was here walking around after the fire was starting.
Tiny, specifically.
Yeah, like as you're looking at it, you see that the footprints are this long.
So it's smaller than a gnome.
Yeah, for sure. This is
Oh,
pixie
okay.
sized.
Yeah, I was saying very pixie.
You see, he looks around. He's going to continue his investigation, but those are the three main things that he finds. It was
Yeah.
oil based, multiple points of starting the fire, and tiny footprints. As he turns round, as he finishes up, you see that he's going to say, "All right, I'm going to do some testing, which means I'll have more information to give you after I analyze those samples. Please keep me updated on what's on your investigation, so that I can help you. All right? And when you do come to update me on the information, do not bring Xerax, please. I don't want to be doing. I don't want to be doing the whole thing while I'm also working. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
And why is it that Casares can't do it?
I. Listen, it's nothing. I. Um, I can't tell you because I stand to lose a little bit of money.
Some money.
Yes.
Okay. Alright.
Okay.
Is it a bet?
Should I try and charm him?
If you want.
Do you have spell slots left?
I have 2. Oh, so we haven't rested, so I have 1
Yeah.
spot left. I have
Okay.
1 spell slot left,
That-
and
That is enough to cast Charm Person.
yeah. But
Did
so
it work on him?
last I hadn't prepared charm person last time. I prepared that today,
Okay.
so never mind.
Oh, right, yeah, you need long rests.
Yeah.
You can only really update what spells you have prepared.
Well, she never did update her. After.
She did,
Oh, she did.
yeah.
No, last time I did.
Yeah.
So never mind.
Okay.
I don't have charm person.
Hoover says, I appreciate your discretion. I hope that doesn't make me a suspect in anything. I want to help you solve this.
Thank you.
Excellent. Have a good day. And you see that he clops away out through the door. You see that he leans through the door of the library to look around. Sees that Xaris is like doing research in the corridor and is going to head in the opposite direction. Oh! He comes back and he says, you might want to talk to some of the teachers about what happened here. They might be able to help you out with some stuff. I imagine if you're going up against something dangerous, the abjuration teacher might give you something to protect yourselves. That's where.
If they might help us.
Yeah, they might be able to do something. And the. Let me see. Yeah, some of the, like whatever school of magic you think might be involved. If you need to ask, if you want, you can ask the teachers in question. I did notice that most of the points starting the fire were around the what's it called?
The art.
The bookshelf that was all of the section on the enchantments, on the School of Enchantment spells. So charm person, dominate monster, read minds, that sort of spells.
Okay.
Oh no, read minds is divination. Divination. But yeah, sort of like controlling other the thoughts of others, manipulating them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Let me ask.
I'll see you around. Have a good day. And he.
Good riddance.
Was the librarian in there the whole time?
The librarian is just coming.
Coming back.
Coming back. You see that like she like comes up through the floor and like looks sort of horrified at the state of her library. Yeah. You see she starts to fuss over things and starts like putting things back where they're supposed to be, like not ignoring you, but like focused on the books right
Mhm.
now. Oh no, I'm gonna get into so much trouble with Mr. Chris. You should have been here.
Oh, I come back. It's like, is he finished?
Is he gone?
Yeah.
He just poking it. Is he gone?
Yeah, he's finished. He found some pretty good stuff. He let us know that the fire had multiple different places that it started in, but
Yes.
most of them seemed focused around the books on enchantment
And then
magic.
possibly a tiny creature was nearby.
Yeah, there was a tiny creature that walked through the ashes after the fire started.
Wait, what size class is... Because we met the professor that's a cat, right?
Yes.
Do cats count as tiny size creatures?
I can check right now.
They're small. I think they're small. Because tiny would be pixie.
Well, no, small is...
Dwarves, gnomes. Sorry, not dwarves. but-
Gnomes and halflings are small.
So will pixie be extra tiny?
So,
No,
well,
there's nothing smaller than tiny, but they're size categories.
mhm.
So mice definitely tiny, pixies
Yeah.
definitely tiny, cat is tiny.
Cats are tiny.
Yes. Well, listen, it's a size category, right? Dwarves also count as medium, just like humans.
yeah.
and-
Dwarves are medium.
So do minotaurs when they're a playable race, they count as large when they're monsters.
So they're large for as monsters and medium as
playable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You can't play something that's large unless you have the spell enlarge or something else based on it.
Well, that's definitely interesting. A potential second suspect.
What was she the teacher of?
Enchantment.
Yeah.
Oh.
With
Oh,
your
wait.
perception check, the prints don't. They're like footprints.
Oh, they look like
Uh,
human feet.
Little
Yeah.
book.
Humanoid feet.
Yeah, not something with shoes, but something
Barefooted?
barefoot that just has round Smurf-like feet.
No toes.
No toes.
Wait, so if they went through the ashes, wouldn't there be a trail?
There,
So,
that is. They went through the soot, and that's where the trail was.
And- Oh, but wouldn't the suit be stuck to their feet and leave a trail to the direction they walk towards too?
Oh, yeah. You can make an investigation check.
Alright. I need to stand up. So, investigation, got a +4 on that. Yay.
Anybody wants to give the help action?
I'll give the help action because I get a +4.
You don't need to roll for the help action. You
A
just
12.
make him roll. You can roll twice and choose the better roll.
So 12.
Yep.
And 11. So I'll use a 12
Cool.
plus
Plus
4.
one. Plus
six-
4.
Yeah.
16. You find that the footprints move around from the different points of the fire starting, pointed out by Hoover, and the last point of starting the fire is farther away from the enchantment branch. It's just like near one of the wooden walls, wooden arches of the library, and the footprints just stop there, like the thing vanished. As
How
you
about
would if you were teleported,
investigate?
or if you were a summoned creature that disappeared.
So,
We investigate that pillar.
well, first I'm going to ask the librarian because there might actually just be an obvious answer that she might know because she knows the place. I'm going to ask her: Are there any students that belong to races which are tiny in size?
We do have a couple. We have some students that are pixies.
Pixies?
that I can think of, but they would have wings, so they wouldn't need
It
to
would have been
step
flying.
around in the
Mhm.
in the soot.
And also, are there any portals in the library itself?
No, we want to discourage this sort of stuff in any place that
Yes.
has expensive resources in order to avoid the theft of important books. Especially, so we have, in fact, wards against that sort of thing. So it's harder to cast conjuration in here. You need to teleport something out, like near the entrance of the library, and then get it in. But unless if you were unless if somebody had taken down the wards for a little bit, conjuration should not have been possible.
Who would be able to take down the wards?
Myself and some members of the administration, Carl, Headmaster Kara, Mr. Chris, some teachers that I don't know which, anyone who has high-level spell slots and who's able to cast dispel magic.
But wouldn't...
You see that like she raises her hands and checks and says, the wards are down.
The words are down.
So they were dispelled.
Okay. Well, probably any of the professors could have put the wards down.
Could have been Clark himself.
They would only be temporarily deactivated if it was a member of the staff. I'll have to ask.
They would or would not have been temporarily disabled.
They would have been temporarily disabled as opposed to have been fully dispelled.
as they were.
So they were fully dispelled.
Yes.
Yes.
So
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 that's
it's
one of the higher ups.
Well, no. One of the higher ups wouldn't have needed to take it down, but they might have just covered their tracks.
yeah. Well, still, let's start with the likely suspects, which would be someone on the faculty.
Right.
Keep me updated of your investigation. If I may, I would dearly love to know who's done this to my library.
Yeah.
Isn't it awesome that the tiny creature had wings?
I mean,
Could I check for traps? Like traps at your doors around the area?
yeah, because he did go to a specific area.
Yeah. Roll for investigation. But also, yeah, like because the Azer was summoned, the
What
wards
is that?
were down.
16 plus...
16 for 21?
21. No
16.
secret passages that you're able to see. No
It was
the
20.
activation device, magical device that would have allowed something to leave. This looks like either the thing cast a spell on itself to be
Teleported.
dismissed, or it simply was done with its task as a summoned creature and just poof,
Poofed.
or something like that.
Can't take if there was magic used around that area though.
Well, I also have another idea. So would my alchemist supplies or thieves' tools have a magnifying glass?
Sure.
I want to look very closely at the little toeless footprints
Yeah.
and see if they have fingerprint ridges.
They.
Uh-huh.
I can tell you they do not.
They do not. Ah. Okay. So that makes it a little less likely that it's who we were thinking of at first.
The necromancer did that?
Yeah. Because my thought was one of those little hands.
Smart.
you know.
Fingerprints.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
The hands would have fingerprint ridges on them, but if there's not fingerprint ridges, then it's something that wears shoes.
But he said specifically though they were barefoot, didn't he?
It looks like something very uniform, like either smooth shoes, like Smurfs shoes,
Some burlap shoes.
or something that has uniform feet. So like, yeah.
But
And no prints. So not
yeah, what kind of pattern are they? Like,
Just like sort of
Bipedal?
no, what I mean is the steps.
bipedal.
Bipedal. Okay.
Uh,
Okay. So definitely some sort of. I mean, to me, that says something that wears shoes.
Yeah.
Because it's uniform. There's not like fingerprints, like it was like some little animated hand or foot or something.
Yeah.
So
Anyone who wants to can make an Arcana check to see if those clues sort of coalesce into something that exists in the D&D universe.
all right. Let's see. I am rolling really bad with these guys.
Everybody
Two.
can attempt.
Everyone
Yeah.
does it? Alright, I only have 2 for Arcana, so let's hope I get a good roll. It's the 20?
Yes,
Yeah.
the D20.
6.
So
You got the best.
with
6 plus
8.
Arcana.
What you got?
8.
8?
I got 1.
No clue.
No clue.
No clue.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
Can we do it again?
No.
And I
Well-
was getting such good rolls.
But
Yeah.
that's just a rule to see if you know the information outright, right?
Mhm.
Without the need for any
So Arcana has knowledge.
Yes.
Yes.
Arcana, nature, religion, history, all of those are for knowing things off the top of your head.
Yeah.
What's insight used for?
That's for people.
Yeah, that's like knowing the emotional states of your targets.
Oh,
Okay.
Also, like you were observing Hoover, he didn't do anything suspicious during the investigation.
Alright.
I forgot to communicate that.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, because the thing is like thinking about this. Like this is definitely like some sort of intelligent being that would have
Ooh, I forgot about one last detail. There's shards of broken glass that had oil in it near where the feet disappear. That were noted on by Hoover, and he took a piece of the glass in the oil. That was Sorry, I'm just now remembering that piece of that.
Okay.
that,
Well, in that case, I will also take some glass and oil and use my own alchemist supplies on it.
sounds good.
Just in case there are potentially different answers.
Yeah, go ahead and roll an intelligence roll.
Just an intelligence?
Yes. Plus proficiency if you have proficiency in your own alchemist supplies.
Yes, I do have proficiency. Proficiency would be +2, and I get another +2 from intelligence, and it was 16.
20.
20.
The oil is absolutely pure, either filtered out with magic or created with magic, because there's no way that you're aware of to create oil that is 100% without any impurities.
Mm-hmm.
And so like and you're able to detect that with a natural 20. Like there's just a small layer of soot on top of it, but once you remove it and analyze the product, it just is like created or filtered by magic to be
So it's like perfectly pure, like whichever oil was used.
yeah. So like you think transmutation or conjuration would have been able to make something like this.
Mm-hmm. What about the glass?
The glass itself regular glass, shaped vaguely in a form like you were able to piece together some of the glass pieces for a pitcher full of that must have been full of the oil used to burn this stuff.
So like a port.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The beaker.
And
Pretty pretty large compared to the size of the tiny creature. So the tiny creature must have been like.
That's probably why there's multiple points, because it was like spilling.
that would actually make a lot of sense if there's multiple points. So the thing is there could have been a specific target for the fire, but once the fire was lit wherever that target was, it would have caught in the other places too.
And it seemed like the fire is, because he says that it was around the enchantment books.
Is there any books missing?
Maybe with your investigation, I would say that you find some books that are like okay. You have to go through like the library's index to compare what is on the shelf and what is supposed to be on the shelf. You find that the only books that are missing have been taken out by
Students.
mostly like there's like 3 books that have been borrowed by students that are all like pretty basic low-level magic
But no
books.
unaccounted missing books.
You don't find any unaccounted for missing books. So
Yeah.
this doesn't feel like someone covering their tracks for having stolen something, but more of a destructive act.
So I wonder if the enchantment professor has some sort of rivalry going on with another professor.
So could the fire also be a distraction for another section that students aren't allowed in?
So should we do an investigate? Can we ask Mrs. Fritz if
There's a restricted area that students can't enter.
There is a restricted area that is like guarded by like a wall full of magic wards and
A veil.
a sort of like prison gate, like prison door
So
with bars.
Kind of like the restricted zone in Harry Potter.
Yeah,
but
exactly
the-
like that.
But the wards were down. So
The wards were down on
The main
section
library.
of the library that
Yeah.
you're on. Mrs. Fritz is able to confirm that the wards were still on
for the
the
restricted.
library section. There would have been alarms blaring if somebody had tried to
Okay.
take
So
down.
it wasn't that.
It wasn't a restricted area.
Yeah. So if it was a distraction, it's for something that's going to be a lot less obvious, and we
Yeah.
probably can't figure it out
we
right
have-
away.
yeah,
But we can maybe.
I think if we ask
Tritz is new, right?
If we had school.
Fritz? No, she was.
You spell it with a T. Tritz.
Oh,
is it Tritz?
let's move it to Tritz then. Yes.
Yes.
So Tritz was hired by Indominus Crisp right after he himself was hired
And that was fairly recently.
10 years ago. Yes.
Oh, 10 years ago. Okay, well that would be enough time. I would ask Tritz, is there anyone who specifically does not like the enchantment professor?
Oh yes, absolutely everyone.
Absolutely
I
everyone.
don't know that. So she likes to remind it. She likes to remind everyone that when someone has 2 titles, like Professor and King, you're supposed to call them by their highest ranking titles. She calls herself Empress White Paws. I'm gonna change the name because that's not what the name is at the moment in the thing. But yeah, she she uses enchantment magic very liberally, not just with the mice that carry her around, but just in general, it's not the most pleasant encounters you can have with her. I don't like talking ill of my colleagues, but you know, she doesn't need to cast suggestion on people to ask them to clean her litter or get her a glass of water. She could, you know, cast other spells like Mage Hand to do it herself. She's just.
Is there? Why does she have the title Empress? Is she actually Empress of anything?
She's the Empress of all cats by her own.
Self-name.
Yeah, she was awakened by a druid a number of years ago and found a knack for enchantment magic and was hired because she can easily be paid in
Cat food.
luxury cat food and housing and
Okay.
So,
So
so
no
she's a sheep
one
hunter.
likes the enchantment teacher.
Yes. Has there been a recent conflict with the enchantment professor?
Yes,
Or
I
recent
would-
incident?
I would bet my immaterial hand on it. Although I'm not one for gossip, as I like to stay in the library most of the time. I would. Her class is not particularly difficult, but it is not. I hear from the students the most enjoyable one, and faculty don't really like interacting with her. Which you know, she doesn't need to come to the dining hall to be served her the specialized food that she likes. But yes.
Okay.
Are the
Maybe-
mice barefooted?
Huh?
Are the mice that carry her around barefooted?
I haven't taken the notice to
They
that.
have holes.
Yeah.
Oh, but if they were shoes. They're bipedal, so they're not mice.
Yeah.
But how else would they be carrying her if they can't walk on
On their back.
Yeah, on their back.
their back?
Yeah, this is the image. This is what it looks like. That's why I'm not suspecting her mice. Because like so yeah, it's like
They have a single paw carrying the wooden beams of her large cushion
Oh, okay.
each, but then they use the rest of their free paws to move around.
yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. I want to say we had a pretty good interaction with let's see.
I'm kind of thinking if we want to go talk to anybody, maybe we should talk to the conjuration teacher. I'm thinking that the enchantment teacher probably isn't going to get us anywhere. if we
Oh,
talk to her.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I although at some point we probably do want to talk to her.
Yeah.
Namely because, you know, if someone did attempt arson, they're probably not going to actually fess up to it.
Right, but maybe the conjuration teacher could give us some information on like what kind of creature could be conjured that would match our description of the footprints and like
Yeah. Also, who would be responsible for getting the wards on the library back up? Because we need to do that as well.
The abjuration teacher.
The
the-
who teacher?
Abjuration is like all sorts of like protection spells. That is that is Aristine Malthus. She's the teacher in heavy armor.
Well, maybe we should just go talk to her then.
Yes, let's go talk to Aristine Malthus and and let her know that the wards on the library need to be put back up because someone took them down.
Oh, Kazaris, also, Hoover told us that she might have she might give us some sort of assistance in like protection
Yeah.
items or something like that. So,
Okay.
talk to her about that too.
Alright. As okay, you head over to the teacher's quarters. You find you find that there's each of the teachers have offices with their plaques on them. In the long corridor, you're able to spot that all of the teachers have their names on them except one door that's like the only one of the teachers that doesn't have their nameplate on it is for Aristine. Instead, you see multiple locks, warding spells, like the doors that are wooden for everybody else in the corridor is solid metal, and like clearly magically reinforced.
Probably iron.
Well, that's a security measure.
There is a doorknob and a sign saying don't knock unless it's with this doorknob.
Oh.
Knock unless we knock on the doorknob.
Yeah, don't. Like,
So basically, don't touch anything but the doorknob.
yes.
Okay.
Alright.
Got it, because you might die.
Oh, am I getting it?
Why do you have that one?
I watched it.
Oh.
You were done,
Oh.
right?
Yeah. I was like, no, there were also more in the.
Oh, I thought we only had 3.
No, there were a few more in the dishwasher.
Oh,
yes.
sorry.
That's fine.
Yes, that's why I was like, wait, what? Huh?
Oh, yeah, so you were finished, so I thought it was
Yeah,
okay.
no. I was mostly confused.
Yeah, I did watch it.
I was mostly confused as to like why you were getting the door.
We were all
Okay.
confused there. Okay, so should we knock on her door?
Yes, I will.
Knock on the doorknob.
Yes, I will knock on the doorknob.
Okay. Immediately, magical arcane appears, looks around at the 3 of you,
I wave the
and-
eyeball.
and then like it has a sort of like little beam that scans all of you once up and down, twice, third time, before you hear sounds of chains coming off, and through like peeking through the door, you see the heavily armored face of Aristide. Yes, who is it?
Hello.
It's the security team.
Yes, we are the new security team. We came to inform you that the wards on the library need to be put back up.
Yes, I heard about I saw the smoke of the incident. Listen, we need to establish a safe word so that the next time that we meet, we can ensure that we are who we say we are.
Okay. Why?
We're gonna take a moment together.
Okay.
I don't have a question of why we need a safe word.
Because
Well,
there are illusionists that can cast disguise self and pretend to be other people, and for all I know, if you're impersonators, then I can find out when the real you don't know the password, and if somebody is an impersonator, then they won't know the password, and we'll be able to root them out. This is a basic security measure.
Okay.
Okay, I suggest, let's see,
Blueberries.
absolutely. I prefer longer, more complex passwords, but if it's something that you can all easily remember,
You know what? I'll give her something that these can't. Why not?
So we're using blueberries.
Yes.
You probably should write that down. So we meet up with what's her
I'm trying to find her name.
Hmm?
I'm trying to find this cat's name, or this adulation professor's name.
Yes, the other one's the cat.
Abjuration. She introduces herself. I'm Professor Malthus, Aristine Malthus.
Malthus?
Malthus.
With an F?
TH.
It's right here.
Also interesting name choice.
I sometimes just use the first one that comes to mind, but Malthus is a particular philosopher that I happen to fully despise. But
So you don't like this character, is what you're telling us?
not necessarily. Well, you know, sometimes you love to hate a character, and sometimes you might not give them the name that's not necessary. Anyways, moving on. Your alright, I will put back the wards. Is there anything else?
A couple of questions. One, how would all the faculty be capable? Would any of the faculty be capable of removing the wards, or just only certain members?
Oh, really?
I don't know the full spell list on the grimoires of every teacher, but I do have notes on every single spell that I've ever seen any one of them cast, so I can consult those.
Okay. And the other.
She closes the door, and you hear
Well, that was
as all of the
less.
locks being put back down, while you hear her like going through her study, looking for books.
Alright. Well, let's go to what was it? The Conjuration Professor.
Okay, Professor Frost.
Mhm.
Professor Malthus opens the door again and says, I have seen, I have personally seen Professor Geralt casting Dispel Magic, and Mrs. Tritz.
Mrs. Tritz.
Interesting.
Yes.
But that doesn't speak to the full volume of everyone who can cast.
True.
But
True. But those are just the ones who have.
displayed it.
Yes, who have done it. Who.
You know what's funny? Every single event that's happened, there has not been a staff inside the room.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Like no professors.
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
Yeah, and Mrs. Tritz wasn't in the library either.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she was talking with you in the restaurant.
Yeah, yeah. She was absent then, and then, but yeah. So
And then they show up immediately after it happens.
yeah, and then same with Conjuration Professor.
the whole school's in it.
Maybe. Or they're all after each other.
No, I think so.
So let's go to the Conjuration Professor.
Okay.
And since that's what was suggested first, and then let's.
He is also not giving classes. When you knock on his door, you find that the door is somewhat ajar, and when you push it open, you see a sort of like swirling vortex, a portal, as it were, in the center of the office. The office itself is like there's the desk, but it seems like completely unfurbished. And there's a small sign next to the door that says find me meet me in my real office next to the portal.
Okay.
So I guess we.
Go into the portal?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
You find yourselves in this luxurious garden.
Definitely more fitting for the professor.
Yeah. Luxurious garden in
That's conjuration professor, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Cross.
You see that it is shaded to protect like the papers, larger luxurious desk, a series of shelves full of academic books, and you see that Professor Prost is guiding a group of dryads to gather ingredients for him from the garden, at the edge of which you see a sort of like glimmering barrier. This is a dummy plane, a pocket dimension for the purposes of whatever Professor Prost's.
It's basically a garden.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's just a pocket dimension garden.
Do we have the book that caught on fire? Do we have that book?
You have not taken it down to the library, but we can retroactively say that you did. Mrs. Prince would definitely allow you to take that with you.
Okay, yeah, I think we should ask him if he is familiar with the book.
Oh yes. This grimoire was donated to us by one of my old students actually when he decided to retire from magic altogether. Not necessarily fit for adventuring, at least not as much as he thought he was. Too dangerous.
Okay.
Welcome to my office.
Yes. Yes. Quite nice.
What can I help you with?
Well, we were trying to get some insight into the incident that just happened in the library. Someone attempted to start a fire.
Oh, interesting. I was not aware. I've been here the whole time. I've been here for a few hours. Do tell me how I can help you.
Well, it seems that someone took down the wards for the library and summoned a creature that used oil to start a fire in the words.
Library?
Huh?
The library?
Enchantment?
Yeah, in the
bookshelf?
enchantment section.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
You describe everything you know about the creature, mostly the footprints, and the conjuration teacher nods. Reason says, expert opinion, this is probably an unseen servant, a tiny invisible summon creature that can perform basic tasks at a remote, perfect to commit simple crimes with while you're in a public place for an alibi. Their shapes are usually very simple, meaning that they wouldn't have very defining features, and they would end up with most of the time with footprints that are exactly the type that you described. They can be smaller or tiny, but that doesn't change their efficiency.
Okay. And the oil was unusually pure.
Interesting.
Do you know any professors or students who have recently been working on any like particularly pure oil or similar spells that would produce that?
Uh, Not that I know of, but we do have alchemy jugs that are available to Professor Hoover. Alchemy jugs are able to produce pure, refined substances, a certain amount per day, wine, beer, water. The simpler the substance, the more can be produced by the jug, and absolutely it's always absolutely pure when it is conjured. So oil like what you described is something that could be harvested from a jug and then used to light a fire.
And are these jugs fairly easy to obtain?
I believe they're all they're low level magical items, but the as far as I'm aware, the only ones we have are under the purview of Professor Hoover.
Okay. Okay. And the other question is, has the enchantment professor recently been in any particular conflicts or had any incidents that you know of?
Well, there is the whole Sue debacle.
Sue?
Yes.
Like a lawsuit?
No, this is just what the group is called, the Student Union of Ethics. They're lobbying to have more controlled, more ethically oriented teaching of certain spells like conjuration and mostly enchantment spells that are, as they call it, unethical by nature. Conjuration binds sentient creatures to do your bidding, much like what I'm doing right now to maintain this garden. And even though, and so they are asking for a whole new teacher to be hired to teach ethics of magic, and for there to be restrictions on what first years can access in the library, spells like friends or charm person, which can force someone to act against uh, uh,
Moral code.
moral code without their consent. Things like this, and of course, Empress White Paws is absolutely opposed to any measures aimed to restrict what she is or is not allowed to teach and even use. So there is that whole thing. I'm not particularly involved. I know that Sue. I wouldn't particularly be opposed to Sue putting restraints on what can be and can't be taught. I think knowing the spells that you're dealing with is useful in order to counter them and things like this. So, but personally, the less of the curriculum that I have to teach, more time I can spend doing research, enjoying my tenure here, this sort of things.
Alrighty. As far as Sue goes, are they involved? Do they have any faculty support?
That is quite possible, but the investigation of Sue was not given to me by Headmaster Kara. I believe it is Professor Geralt who is in charge of finding out who is a member of Sue and
So they're not an official student organization.
No, in fact, based on what Geralt told me, the headmaster Kara would prefer there not to be a suit in general.
Interesting. Well, I suppose our next visit will be to.
Wait, before we go visit anyone else, I think we should establish some like questions that we want to ask everyone that we all think will be beneficial for our magical investigation, so that we're like
Mhm.
getting.
Yeah. We didn't really get to ask much to the abjuration professor.
Yeah, and if we had like talked about it a little bit, we could have maybe asked the better question.
Maybe a better order of questions. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So definitely we want to see. Definitely we want to ask about any potential conflicts with
Enchantment.
Empress White Paws.
Empress White Paws.
Not fuzzy paws.
Yes.
Yeah, I changed that because we already have a
Fuzzy
creature
pants.
called Fuzzy Tummy, and I didn't want there to be confusion.
And then we definitely want to ask that. We also want to establish who would be able to
Dispel magic,
dispel magic,
and who might be able to summon unseen serpent.
who might be able to summon unseen servant. We should probably ask those questions to the our conjuration professor too.
Oh, I can definitely cast unseen serpent. Immensely useful, low-level spell.
So anyone can cast unseen servant. So that's not necessarily anyone, but casting unseen servant would not be the best way to
It's a fairly
eliminate.
Easy spell. So it's a fairly easy
It's
spell.
it's a level 1 spell.
Okay, so it would be the sort of thing that it wouldn't be good to eliminate suspects.
Right.
Based off of that, I don't think so. Also, people might just lie to you about what they can or can't.
True. What about dispel magic?
Dispel magic is, I believe, a level 2 spell.
Would they have to cast it at a higher level to dispel what's in the library?
Absolutely. At least, I know that Professor Malthus always takes her job very seriously when it comes to warding things.
Can they use a catalyst to strain the spell?
Usually you need to have the spell slot available to you.
No, but can the spell be saved like in an item for them to use?
Like a scroll. Scrolls don't allow you to cast them at high level. Dispel magic is a 3rd level spell, so most of the students would not be able to cast such a spell unless they had a scroll to be able to do so.
So they need
And-
a spell.
But they would also probably need to have a higher than 3 level spell slot to specifically dispel the wards on the library. Like that's what we're getting at, is it would specifically have to be higher than 3rd level.
Yeah.
So probably not just some student who has a scroll. Like they would have probably had to have someone on the faculty or someone else outside willing to lend their help.
Yes. So we're probably thinking of. We're probably thinking that someone powerful is helping Sue.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose burning down part of the library, although extreme and easy to draw attention, would be a way to restrict access to a lot of enchantment spells. This is where my mind goes to. Headmaster Kara is trying to keep the very existence of Sue discreet so as to avoid them being able to attract more people.
Gain
And
power.
they're, I believe, trying to keep the existence of their little union a secret in order to avoid the sort of actions that Professor Geralt is undertaking to find them and.
Are you aware of any? Are you aware of any of the members of Sue?
I am not. I have not been approached by any of them, even though I did have a anonymous letter sent to me concerning what I should or should not cast or even teach.
Could we see that letter?
It's been scrubbed clean out of any magical. It is possible to scrub an object clean so that divination doesn't reveal anything about its past, but you might be able to identify handwriting. Maybe. Let me have a look. You see that like he goes through a bunch of through his drawer. He takes out a sort of like golden bracelet with a ruby on it while he's sifting through it, and he finds the letter and hands it to you. It's a fairly simple script without a seal that reads Professor Prost. In the interest of teaching things ethically, we ask that you stop teaching students how to use this list of spells, and then you have a list of like 20 or so spells. A short explanation of why you think it's unethical to teach this way, and the signature that and signed as the members of the Students' Union of Ethics.
Okay. I mean, I'm not familiar with the full 5th edition spell list, but 20 sounds like a decent chunk of like all summoning spells.
There's lots of stuff that just compels creatures from other realms out of their homes to do whatever bidding you desire.
Are most creatures
Yeah,
returned back to
yeah.
their plane?
Huh?
Are most creatures returned back to their plane once?
Yes, if they survive for the duration.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Those spells are mostly used by players and adventurers in combat, which does not guarantee. Like you see that even creatures that are considered evil because they come from an evil plane of alignment, like demons and devils, are also like summon infernal and summon demons are also included in the list of things that Sue would prefer not be taught and some, because even if but there's no extra argument for why they don't want those creatures to be abused. Other
Yeah,
than
yeah.
what's the general gist of it. But yeah, that's like there's conjuration things that allow you to like I believe teleportation spells that aren't being discussed at all. It's just anything that forces a creature to do.
Yeah. No. Sort of like my observation and I guess potentially slight concern is that is that Sue might be you know, and I'm not voicing this. I'm just sort of like
Thinking.
thinking out loud is that this might be a sort of like, you know, if this is like a huge chunk of like all summoning spells, that this could be kind of like a moral panic situation.
There is a chance.
For someone that's pro-life.
Well, yeah, and also I'm kind of thinking about sort of like out of game, sort of like some of the things like the recent like anti-ship discourse in fan fiction and things like, apparently we're getting round 2 of Satanic Panic now.
In Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, not necessarily Dungeons and Dragons. There was that whole Sam Smith show, and apparently it's gotten like all the soccer mom types
Sam
worried about
Smith
Satan.
Okay.
It was at some award show, and it was
Got it.
Yeah.
Let's.
yeah.
I would encourage that we either take a break or stay on.
Yeah, sorry.
Stay on.
Yeah,
on,
but
on
like,
target.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you think that it might be stimulated by fear.
Yeah. That this, because like if it's, especially if it's like kind of like short reasons, a very long list of like an entire school of magic. This might be like some sort of like within the student body, or perhaps even be provoked by a professor, a sort of like moral panic against particular schools of magic that they might have a problem with.
So maybe we should go to. Well, I think we need to go talk to Geralt for sure.
Yes.
But maybe we should go ask the enchantment professor.
I would say ask Geralt first, and then go talk to the enchantment.
Right. But we
Oh,
need to
wow.
ask her if she received one of those letters as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You. So you're going to find the door to Geralt's office. When Prost sort of like waves you goodbye and says, "Oh, you really should be wearing your uniforms. Carl is lenient to teachers, but because teachers who have tenure, which is all of us at this point, but less so to other employees. He might not have mentioned that you can have armors like his be made to have the school colors of white and black, to be more accommodating, even if you'll have to convince Mr. Crisp to finance such a thing. But if he writes you up 3 times, you will get fired, and I would hate for such a competent security team to get into trouble.
Maybe they offer better armor.
Knowing Mr. Crisp, probably not.
It might
I mean, I got 25 pieces of gold. I could spare a few pieces.
that is, Mr. Crisp can be amenable to enhancing security, especially when the security of the school also improves the security of his own treasure hoard.
Right. Well, I mean, I know as of earlier I was enchanting my armor to the school colors. I don't know if that.
Oh, yeah, with minor illusion?
Mm-hmm.
Hell yes, then he doesn't tell you about this, but yeah.
How come we just use that on all of us? They make it seem like we're wearing it.
Because you can, I believe, only maintain one. Is minor illusion concentration? Can you check?
Am I wearing it?
It would lower your armor class. It would not lower Luraza's armor class, but Luraza is not wearing it out of principle.
Most of us I doubt it'll look pretty.
Huh?
I doubt it will work well with the
You might
robe.
need to Google it to see if it's concentration.
Yeah.
I can't put it on top of my leather armor.
Is it a cloak?
You. No, it's like cloth and leather. You can.
Okay,
Right.
I'll put it on top of my leather armor.
Okay. You're gonna. You're not technically gonna get rich enough, but you might get a little.
Looks like I'm wearing. How about just a wrapper around me?
Oh, okay. So yeah, you're wearing the uniform like a scarf and a cape that isn't a cape. It's just like pants that are tied around your.
Nice.
Beautiful. I love the image of the rogue, like, technically wearing the uniform.
Technically,
Technically
it's
wearing
on.
it.
Minor illusion does not require concentration.
Okay, I know that it has a limited amount of time, so you need to recast it, but you can recast it when Carl comes into view, as long as he
Yes.
doesn't. Okay, so you're all technically wearing the uniform. Love it.
You know, some shape or form,
Yeah.
we're wearing it.
Yeah. Okay. You find that the door to Mr. Gerald's office has a small amount of graffiti on it, like the words that are in common are generally things like creep or the boogeyman. It's all yeah. He
So
doesn't seem to have bothered to erase
derogatory-
the graffiti
derogatory?
on his door.
So just like taunts or like
The-
slurs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's not like any like
Good job.
unrecognizable words.
There are some in other languages other than common, but
Any in the one that hasn't been identified in the book yet?
there is one that is using the same alphabet.
Okay. Okay. I'll take note of that.
A student or someone knows how to use it.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I guess knock on Professor Gerald's office.
You hear yes, one moment, and then you're gonna hear and the door unlocks. Once the door opens, you see something moving, scuttling on the ground back to where Professor Gerald is. You see he's staring out of the window and saying, "One moment, please." And that is how I improved upon the already excellent revivify spell. Dot, and please close the book. We will resume this later. And you see a little necrosized gray hand finishes writing the words that he was saying, puts the quill away, closes the books, and then scurries back into his armor of hands.
So they're like the thing.
Yeah.
They're like thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I figured they were. That's why
Yeah.
I was like, okay, are there fingerprints? So I'm going to ask him if he's aware of the library fire.
Yes, I have seen the smoke, and I saw Mr. Crisp almost intervening. So when he didn't, I imagine that the conflict or the incident had already been resolved.
Yes, we managed to resolve it. It seems to have been started on purpose.
That's arson.
Interesting.
And in the enchantment section, no less.
You see that like he without a word sends one of the hands that is hanging onto his feet to grab a little notebook from the library, drags it across the floor. It gets opened on the chair, not on his desk where you might be able to see it, and a little scribble is being added to the little. It's like it's not a book with a cover. It seems to be more of a smaller book like this one. Black, no title on it.
So like basically just a notebook.
Yeah. And so like the hand is taking notes while this is happening, without Professor Geralt needing to really do anything.
Okay, so which? Let's see. I know we definitely. So which question do we want to lead with?
So
You saw him at the library, so you probably ask him.
I don't think we want to lead with that one. Don't think we want to lead with that.
we should ask him about Sue.
What?
I'll be very clear about this. You might consider me a suspect because of my continued presence in the library. The library is a meeting place for individuals that I'm investigating, and I was doing so right before the fire started, but I had to excuse myself to use the privy. And I cannot say much about this group of individuals unless, because I am to keep my investigation details private by orders of Headmaster Kala. Which means if you wish to interrogate me about those details, you will have to obtain written permission from the headmaster himself before I can disclose anything.
Understandable. We have already talked to a couple of other faculty members at this point. And you don't necessarily need to confirm, but we were made aware of a group on campus calling itself Sue, which might have particular issue with the School of Enchantment, or possibly the enchantment professor. And we are at least tentatively considering them suspects. And the interesting thing is, the wards on the library were taken down.
And you were there right before.
Well, which would have required someone with high-level spellcasting abilities.
There wasn't anyone with high-level spellcasting abilities that I saw present while I was doing this.
Wolves was present.
Well, I mean, yeah, they might not necessarily have had to have been directly present in the library, like we don't know how the wards are set up.
You would need to be present to dispel them, not necessarily to lower them.
To dispel them.
That's correct.
Okay, so someone would have to be in the library to dispel them.
So who else was in the library when he was there?
They might have been dispelled before I got there.
True. They could have dispelled them at any time. They could have dispelled them, like, middle of the night.
You see that he says, please go, please deliver a message to Headmaster Kala for me. And you see that, like, you hear a tearing sound. The little note, the hand that's been taking notes hands over a note to the other hand that is going to, like, scurry away. I do believe that the details that I have might help your investigation, and that the details you're giving me might help my investigation. Just want to make sure this is all above board.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
And this literally just happened earlier today. And also, in the event that it was not Sue who engaged in this, are there any other, faculty, individuals, staff who have potentially had a particularly recent or strong conflict with the enchantment professor.
Over the past year, absolutely everyone at the school.
How about more recently?
More recently, the only thing that comes to mind is you see that like the hand returns, and he says it. He reads it and says, "All right, I'm allowed to share. I am investigating Sue and its members. The known members that I have here are and apart from their conflicts, I can't think of anyone raising too much of a fuss recently who has raised a fuss recently about Empress White Balls. I know. I know for certain of one student who is a part because she slipped up. And I have strong suspicions, but I don't. I have strong suspicions that of other people being involved.
So this member is the only one that you know for sure, but you suspect others.
That is correct.
What's the student's name?
Rodamia Harris. She's a salamander. She's a salamander from the Underdark.
Oh.
Harris.
Oh. Super cute.
There is an image of her available. I would like for you to make a history check.
Okay.
That is the one that I know for sure. I have strong suspicions that
6. 4 plus 2 for my history check is 6.
No details.
Yeah.
I have a strong suspicion that Professor Malthus is involved in Sue because of how many security measures they have taken against being discovered. I believe only someone as paranoid as our night watchman or Professor Malthus would have to be involved in this, but my suspicions might be wrong. Mrs. Trix is amongst my suspects simply because of how often they meet at library. Although they,
The librarian?
Yeah.
yes, and another student called Felix Pendragon.
Oh, I know him.
I believe to be involved.
Pendragon?
Yes.
That's odd because he was the student that did that really unethical thing to try and
The
get better
the
at
demon summoning?
Yeah, he was that was the student who did the botched demon summoning our first day.
Yeah, so it seems odd that you would think that why do you think that he's involved in Sue when he is been known to have unethical behavior?
Well, people are full of contradictions, but simply because Mrs. Harris is constantly hanging out with Felix.
Who?
Mrs. Harris.
He's
Uh,
not
Oh, the salamander.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, so he's a close associate of hers.
Is Malthus a human?
No.
Yes, she's well. You haven't seen under the hood of the helmet yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing. Is Malthus is quite a mysterious figure.
Pendragon is human, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
He's the one with the pink hair.
Okay. So
Interesting.
well, I mean, yeah. It's could be a case of like maybe he doesn't necessarily buy into everything, but he's willing to help out because he's involved with Harris.
I kind of.
Maybe he's being used.
Or the other way around.
He's using now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of suspicious of Mrs. Tritz. Seems.
But wasn't she with us in the library? In
No,
the
remember
cafeteria?
she was.
She was with you when the fire started.
Yes,
Yeah,
she
she
was
was.
with us when the fire started, but remember what the other professor said about unseen servant is that would be ideal for having that happen while you're somewhere else where there's an alibi. And that's a level 1 spell. Basically anyone on faculty and most of the students can cast that.
So it would be extremely. Like a really strong alibi to be able to say, you were standing right next to me when the fire started.
Mm-hmm.
I'm suspicious of her. And then she disappeared and came back, and
Yeah, she was gone the entire time of the fire, and she.
But she knew something was happening.
Mm-hmm.
This is Clark coming running in.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that she'll be the first one to run to the library.
That is suspicious behavior.
And all of you had to run through stairs and bypass walls.
and she could have gotten there really quickly by just evaporating through the walls or dissipating.
Phasing through everything.
What's the word?
Yeah.
Being immaterial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that word.
That's what I said, phasing.
So she's definitely some suspicious behavior in this. I was not quite wanting to suspect her of being willing to commit arson in her own library, or at least be an accessory to that.
Well, that's another reason why she would not be our first suspect.
Mm-hmm.
But if the library
But
is
if she
destroyed,
has connection to Sue, and we already know that she doesn't like Empress White Paws,
Well, nobody likes Empress White Paws.
but she was the only one to say negative things about her after asking that question, rather than just saying, "Oh, everyone has a problem with her."
Yeah, she did. She did seem to take it a bit more personally.
because she said she was afraid of cats when she was alive.
Maybe. I'm sure there's multiple reasons to have a personal problem with Miss White Paws, but it seems that maybe the other faculty just are kind of irritated with her and not necessarily have a personal beef with her.
Oh, I would definitely qualify my relationship with her as a problem.
With the Empress.
Yes, she has been known to use my hands to run errands for her when she couldn't be bothered to send one of her own minions, and I deeply dislike my own personal
Attire.
helpers being used like this, especially since I obtained the consent of every owner of those hands to use them in my day-to-day life. She did not.
Yeah. So another question. One of the other professors we talked to had a letter from Sue.
Have you received a similar letter?
Yes.
I have not. I believe that my practices of necromancy and the way that I teach it, despite its reputation, and also because I'm trying to fight the reputation that necromancers have, is a above board as far as Sue is concerned.
Okay.
I mean,
It's possible to cast Speak with the Dead to ask them questions, but also obtain whatever
Information.
consent you might need from them to do things with their bodies. It is, and this is something that I encourage in my students. This is something that I practice myself.
maybe that's why he hasn't received one, because he's doing it ethically.
Yeah.
That is my belief, and that is also one of the reasons why Headmaster Kala believes I'm most suited to investigate them. My intent is still to report to Headmaster Kala, because as valuable as their intentions might be, they are putting pressure on the school's faculty to do things their way without going through the proper channels.
And also apparently willing to endanger people as well.
Potentially. We're not 100% sure that Sue is involved yet, are we?
True. We're not 100% sure. They are the first suspect, but if they are involved, it would mean that they're willing to place people in danger.
Yeah.
But doesn't that go against their beliefs?
I
For being
mean,
ethically?
Well, they
I'll talk about previous adventures later.
They didn't intend on injuring anyone. They were intending on damaging the collection
Ye-
of books.
Yeah, but you know, and then I guess one thing I'm kind of wondering about as far as
Let's take a break while we wait for the music from your neighbors to disappear.
okay.